So hey everybody, I'm Leanne Presley. I am the CEO of Stitchcraft Marketing, and this is our monthly office hours session where we talk to you about just a bite-sized topic that we think you might be challenged with or something new that is on the landscape. So today we are talking about programmatic and geofencing advertising. Up to this point, probably a month ago, 2 months ago, we always offered like Facebook and Instagram advertising, and we've recently partnered with another agency that specializes in programmatic. And so they have vastly opened up the landscape for us and provided a lot more opportunities to our clients for not just display ads on Facebook and Instagram, but the whole, really just your mind's just going to be blown when I share with you what the opportunities are for you to get in front of your audience through programmatic advertising. So we'll probably go for about 15 minutes. I only have 11 slides today. We try to make it bite-sized, short and sweet, and then I will open up the time to you to ask any questions that you have, whether it be on programmatic or advertising in general, or really any challenges that you're having. This is your office hours. So we'll go ahead and get started. I just want to point out that we do have a programmatic and geofencing advertising beginner's guide. So if you want to go over to this link here on our website, you can grab that download to peruse at your leisure. So let's start by talking just a little bit about how digital advertising works. So I'm going to walk you through kind of a potential client here. We'll call her Carol. And Carol is somebody that's coming to your website, right? She looks around, she's poking through a couple of different pages. But if you've got an e-commerce site, we're going to assume Carol does not buy anything at this point. However, you do know, based on her behavior, that she likes your product. She is what's called cookied before she leaves your site. And cookie just means there's a little snippet of code that is put on her end and your end. It's lives on your end. We all have been cookied. We know what this means. And then when she leaves your website and does not check out, the next step here is she's browsing later on, right? She's shopping for shoes on Zappos, or she's reading a news article on CNN, and she starts seeing your ads. Well, that might be very curious to you. What's happening here is your ad is recapturing her interest and bringing her back to your site, because you guys all know, and this has been my experience too, I always use Zappos as my example. I'm shopping for a specific pair of shoes, right? And then when I'm on CNN or I'm reading the news, I'm like, oh, right, that was that one shoe. I didn't have time that day to look and see if they had my size, but I do today. So I'm going to pop right back over to Zappos, and they want me to buy those shoes. And so we're hoping that Carol does that with your website as well. And then she'll come back to your website there for a full circle experience. This is what's called, digital advertising and retargeting specifically. So what we would love is for all of your customers to do that on your site, and digital advertising is really the best way to do that. So just a reminder on what a cookie is. It is a small message that is given to the web browser by a web server, and that's used to identify and create customized web experiences or ads on other pages once they have left your site. All right. And then, of course, we hope they turn into loyal customers. So a couple definitions here. Digital advertising. You've all seen digital ads. We know what they look like. We've seen them in websites. We've seen them in social, email, and search. But unlike traditional advertising, digital advertising really allows for a lot more flexibility, a lot more precision, which we're going to cover more in depth next. So I want to just go through a couple of different types of advertising with you. You're going to have your display ads. That's using your text and visual elements that are formatted like your banners that you've seen, images and videos that are usually featured alongside content that you see on regular websites. You're going to have your search advertising, which is a paid text ad featured on a search engine. So we all know we go into Google, we're asking for a certain search result, and then most of the time at the top, you'll see sponsored. That is a paid search ad. And those can come into play, they can become really important if you've got a specific product that you're looking to offer. Your social media advertising are going to be your ads on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. Your video ads, you might hear the word video pre-roll, and the pre-roll ad is the one that's going to appear right before you start your tutorial video on casting on or casting off, for example. And you'll see on YouTube, it'll have a little button that says skip ad. And, if that content's not for you, you just roll on by that. But that is the place where we would be advertising something prior to a video that is relevant to your audience. And then, of course, audio advertising, similar thing. That might be streaming music, such as Spotify or on a podcast. Why is it important? Well, we know your customer is online. People are making decisions about goods and services all day long and doing all kinds of activities. I talk a lot about omni-channel marketing. And so digital marketing becomes just one of those touch points in our constellation of omni-channel marketing. And if you haven't heard that term before, omni-channel is just a concept of all the different places that your customer is, right? So, as a consumer, let's just give an example of, maybe you're driving down the highway and you see a billboard. That's one channel. Then you go home and you see a video pre-roll for a similar product. Let's just say, Geico, something that's just really everywhere. You see the Geico billboard. Then you go home and see the Geico pre-roll. Then you're watching television later on and you see a Geico commercial. And then even you might be at your local coffee shop and you overhear somebody say they switched to Geico, right? So those are all omni-channel, different places where someone's going to learn about what your product is. So digital advertising is great for that. Specifically, we're looking at reach. We're looking at global audience, expanding your markets to really find them anywhere they are. Precision targeting, I just talked about. It's creating specific demographics and interests. Some of these sites are so robust now. You can really isolate down to the finest detail to get some precision targeting. They're also super cost effective, right? If you were to do a print ad, for example, and spend $1,600 on a print ad that runs every month or 3 months, you would not be able to change that ad or pivot in your approach until the next print ad comes out, right? But digital is immediate. You can get in there on the same day that you place that ad and change things up if needed. Or you can employ something like an A/B test where you're constantly testing two types of ads. And when you discover A is just not performing at all, boop, it's out. And you can put in another ad and recreate that A/B experience. Additionally, you're getting real-time results. So just again, you're seeing if that A is doing better than that B, and that's immediate for you. And adaptability, you can easily adjust campaigns for optimal performance. So that's why we love digital. So now moving into programmatic. Programmatic is just simply advertising that automates the whole ad placement process. It's using specialized algorithmic software to do all that buying automatically. And the ads are targeted based on analytics and some defined parameters, such as, Jennifer, you said you're starting a new yarn shop. So you probably know that your target audience is going to be 45 to 65. It's going to be women. It's going to be in your geographic area. Certain things about your customer avatar, so you can use targeting to specify that in those ads. And then the buying and placement process is super streamlined and automated. A lot of times there's a bidding process. So you might be bidding for top search placement, for example, and you might have to pay a higher price for that placement than all the other people that are bidding for that same slot. And the buying and selling of ads are based on the impressions in an instant auction format. So whoever has the highest bid will get that placement. Where are they placed? Like we just talked about, display ads can be really on anywhere, on websites, on your streaming services. Like we talked about a minute ago, your Geico ad could be on your Apple TV, also on your phone. It could be on your Hulu. You open your PlayStation, there could be an ad there, tons of places for display. The video pre-roll is most common on YouTube, and you'll see that on really any of those digital platforms that have the opportunity to have video, not just YouTube, but that's the most common one. Your native ads are going to be the ones that blend into websites and they appear as content. Personally, these are the ones the most annoying to me when I'm trying to like read an article on my phone and I have to keep like re-scrolling because the ad pops up. So I don't love those, but that's what that is, where it's just right blended into the content of your article or what have you. Podcast ads could be like in the middle of the show or the beginning or the end of a show. And then your physical ads, like we mentioned, a billboard is a great example of a physical ad. Those can all be programmatically purchased. All right, the other concept that we get a lot of questions about is geofencing, and this is a tool that we use very commonly. Geofencing is going to be a location-based marketing that targets customers once they are entering a defined physical area, right? And it creates like a virtual boundary around something. And so when you walk in with your mobile phone, assuming you have location services turned on, now you are targeted as an advertisee, someone that's going to advertise to you, and that's triggered all through your location services. So you've got to have Wi-Fi and GPS to target your customers. And like I said, they have to have location services turned on. So I'll give you an example of that. I was just recently at Quilt Market in Houston, where the convention center was full of two types of people. You had your manufacturers and your wholesalers and your distributors of quilt fabrics and products related to quilting. But then also all the people that are walking the show floor were probably shop owners. So for a company like me that is targeting both those types of prospective clients for the agency, we would do a geofencing campaign where I want to see all the phones that are open while people are at the quilt market. Maybe for my exhibitors, I'm going to just target the whole convention center, but only on the days that I know are set up and breakdown. And then if I was somebody that was targeting all the folks walking the show floor, I'm going to have the same convention center targeted, but then I'm going to just focus on, the middle days, for example. And yes, you're going to also get the exhibitors because their phones are turned on in those middle days. But there's a lot of manipulation that you can do for a geographic area. Other examples might be if you're a local quilt shop, maybe you're targeting the local quilt museum. The shop close to Paducah, for example, might be targeting that. Any specific events or shows, or I've even had clients ask me if they can geofence competitors. So that's what geofencing is. And why you would want to use it, I think it's pretty obvious. It's really hyper targeted, very specific, based on a location and an exact time and place. And I think it creates some greater opportunity for engagement. Again, we want to be super precise with our targeting. And so geofencing can really afford you that opportunity. Increases awareness around your brick and mortar location, increases and strengthens opportunities to reach local customers. Another example would be here, I live in Salida, Colorado, and we do have a local shop on Main Street. And then every year we have a wool festival that happens in the park. So those people are driving from Denver, from Colorado Springs, from Grand Junction, probably wide radius. So that local shop could utilize geofencing to target that whole festival for that whole weekend. And then now she knows that these are potential customers that want to buy yarns and fibers that could be traveling through Salida at some point in the future. And so she'll set up ads to target them specifically. That would be a potential for her to do that. So hopefully that explains geofencing a little bit more accurately. I also get the question of how do you actually start with some geofencing? Obviously, as an agency, we can help you with that and handhold. But if you're more of a DIY person and you want to just explore on your own, we have used Agility, and there's a lot of companies called Agility. So you do have to type in Agility, geofencing, or programmatic advertising. And that's a platform. And there's tons of them out there where you can do DIY ads and set those up. And they'll have little modules to walk you through how to do that. So don't want to gatekeep any of that information, want that all to be accessible to you. So that's all I have today. If you all have some questions, we'd love to answer that for you. I'll go ahead and take questions on the deck if you guys have any questions about programmatic before we turn off the recording, just in case those questions are the same questions that our YouTube viewers have. And if there are no questions, then I'll turn that off and we'll just open up office hours to whatever other concerns that you have. Anybody have questions? No? All right. Well, thank you for watching our show today on programmatic and digital advertising. If you're on the office hours, stay on the call and we'll take some time to talk to you about whatever your challenges are today. So thanks everybody for joining us. I don't know, Michelle, do we know the date for the next office hours as they are planned now? I do know if you want to be notified of our next and or all upcoming office hours, you can sign up to our newsletter, which is at stitchcraftmarketing.com, and it's just right on the lower right homepage, and you'll be notified of when those are. Not sure, Michelle, do we know when the next one is? Or Rebecca, anybody?
I believe it's December 13th.
Okay, December 13th is our next office hour. So go ahead and mark your calendars and then get on our newsletter list so that you can be reminded of that. I know I always need the reminder.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and turn off our recording.